Welcome back to Wretches and Wrenches for part 2 of the F150 lowering kit. If you saw the last video, you saw we did the back part and it got a little long, so I decided to cut it into 2 videos so I'm not boring y'all to death with a 2-hour long video. Today, even though we just did that one yesterday, we're going to do the front half of the drop kit, and it should be quite a bit easier. Well, I don't want to say that. I feel like I'm just going to jinx myself. But the front shouldn't be as bad as the back. Those springs in the back are way heavier than the ones in the front, so we got that going for us. But there is quite a bit more stuff you got to take apart in the front to get that accomplished. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm probably going to move the truck back a couple feet so I have more room for the jack and stuff in here. But while I do that, enjoy this intro. Alright, let's take a look at the springs, because I've not. They're still in the box, one of these boxes. Apologize for allergies today. I believe this is it. Yeah. Alright, they're nice and shiny. Hopefully they're not too short. The ones on the Ranger were fine, but the second time I lowered it was almost like they wore out. They were sagging a little bit. They seemed lower than they were the first time. But hopefully these will be okay. If they're too short, I may just take the stock springs, cut them, and put them back in. But that'll be later on down the road. The front part, like I said, I've never lowered a full size. Like on the Ranger, I believe the castle nut is on top. This one, it's on bottom, which I guess doesn't really matter. Get some light. So anyway, what we want to do first, Lord have mercy, what's going on there? Brake run is attached to the shock. So what we want to do first is take that shock out and then disconnect the control arm. Whoa. Control arm right here. You can get the pickle fork in there around this contraption, I guess. So we can separate the spindle from the control arm, and we may have to, yeah, we're probably going to have to disconnect the sway bar as well. But other than that, that should be it, I think. Let's see what happens. So this is not a brake line. It must be something to do with the ABS. So it's just a clip that holds it on. You just stick a flathead screwdriver in there, just pop it off, and you can move it to the side. And 7/8 is what I found to go on there. It's not perfect. It's probably metric or something. I don't know. We'll see about getting the shock loose. A new thing I learned. This little plastic tab that was sitting up there that was holding the ABS line, it just screws off. So you can just screw it off. Yeah, I figured that was going to happen. On the Ranger, the top is tapered to where you can put a crescent wrench right here and hold it while you're turning the nut. This one appears, and you can get a wrench in the side. Let me find another one. Let's see if that works. Yeah. We're gonna be here a minute. All right, let's try this. Not gonna work. Nope. Guess we're gonna be turning on this thing for 100 dang years. 17 years later, we finally got it off. Went and got a ratchet that made it a little bit faster. Down the bottom, let me get y'all set up. On the bottom is just a couple 1/2-inch nuts. Come on, gravity. Now it should just fall out. Boom! Now to get it out there, you're either going to have to compress it, which is, sometimes can be kind of hard, depending on how old the shock is, or you're going to have to get the jack underneath the lower control arm and just jack it up until you got enough room to slide it out. Then next up, I think we will disconnect the sway bar. Alright, we're looking at a 9/16 for that sway arm whatchamdoodad. So I got a wrench on the bottom to hold it. Hopefully it stays there. And impact up here. Where'd that wrench go? Now, lose all the pieces so you don't know which way to go back together. Oh, let's put everything. This goes up top. These things are not fun. These, well, that one just went under the spring. We'll get that one later. This whole thing here, I did one on the Ranger. Complete pain in the butt. Because there's so many pieces. And you got to put them back in order to go. So try and keep them together best you can, although it's probably going to scatter as soon as you let it loose. That thing popped up too. I'm not in love with that. Anyway, now we get to the part of the video called the Don't Do What I Do segment, or Don't Do What I Did. I was doing this to the Ranger a couple of years ago. There's footage of it out there, and what did I do? I unbolted something and I forgot to put a jack underneath this. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out once you disconnect this right here is going down, because this is what's holding it up. And I didn't do that. I almost crushed my daggum leg. So this is the part we're going to put a jack underneath the loader control arm so that no body parts get crushed. And then we're going to figure out how to separate this with this stupid, I'm probably just going to cut that off, stupid plastic thing on there. Anyway, I'll be right back. Alright, I got the castle nut off, so that if you know what a castle nut is, there's going to be a cotter pin in it. Luckily I got it out in one piece without breaking it. If you got extra cotter pins, then feel free to break it and get it out if you need to, and just replace it with a new one. I don't have cotter pins laying around. Luckily I was able to get this one out. The castle nut came out pretty easily. I just put a wrench on it, turned it 2 or 3 times, and it came out by hand the rest of the way. Now, here's where you may need a pickle fork, which I have, or you may be able just to hit it with a hammer. So we'll try the hammer first, seeing as the castle nut came off so easy. I feel like I can hit it with a hammer and probably knock it loose. But if not, I'll show you how the pickle fork works. Well, the hammer ain't working too well. Let me see if I can't get this plastic junk off. Oh, these probably don't cut the best. Oh yeah. Well, that kind of helped. There we go. Cut us a little window. Oh, let's see what the pickle fork will do. Okay. There ain't a whole lot of metal in the fenders, so not many places I can stick the camera. Pretty sure it's moving. I think it's actually loose already. So herein lies the danger. When you release that spring, when you drop that jack, that spring's gonna have some tension. It may shoot out of there. I've never had that happen, but I've heard people say that it will. So be careful when you're letting it down. Don't let people stand right here. Just kind of get off to the side and drop it and see what happens. But be safe about it. Well, there you have it. That is the finished product, all tow apart. A little tension on that ABS line, but the ABS light's on anyway, so who cares? Now when you go to put your spring in, you see that little dip right there? That's where you want the end of the spring to sit so that it loops around. Because you know, it's not even on the bottom because it's coil. And that helps it to sit even in there. There's a little rubber thing up there, and the first time I lowered the Ranger, I took this out. Don't do that. You might think, well, this thing's dumb, it doesn't serve a purpose. Yes, it does. It keeps your spring quiet. So I didn't put, the first time I lowered the Ranger, I took it out and put it back in, and it kind of squeaked a little bit when you hit a bump. You can hear them springs squeaking against the metal up there. So put this back in. The second time I lowered the Ranger, I put it back on top of the spring and zip tied it because it was kind of wore out. I didn't know if it was going to stay on there, but this one has little things to wrap around, so this should be no problem. But yeah, don't forget to put this bushing back in. It'll make your ride a lot quieter. Well, let's get the jack situated, get the spring in here, and reverse the whole process. can't get your ball joint back down in there, as long as there's thread showing on the other side, you can always draw it back on with the castle nut. So fret not if you can't get it in there. I'm hoping that that spring is in there correctly. I'm not entirely sure, because you couldn't see these isolators before, but now of course the spring is shorter, so maybe you're going to see them, or maybe you could see them, I don't know. But we're going to put it all back together and see what happens. I feel like I've been sitting here for an hour. That is as far as I can get that ball joint to go in there before it gets almost impossible to turn the nut. And it's tapered, and I don't know what to do. Like, I got the wrench on it, and it's all I can do just to turn it just a little bit. It's so tight, and that is nowhere near where it needs to be. And you can't get an impact on it because there's not enough room in there to get an impact on it. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing wrong. I've tried Googling it. I guess I'll Google it some more. But I'll be back when I found a solution. This is an absolute pain in the butt. I guess we're going to call that good. I've beat on it. I've cut my hand open. And I have lost my spirituality. And I cannot get that thing to seat any further. However, I can see the cotter pin hole lined up where it's supposed to be, so maybe that's as far as it goes. Seems like it should go further than that. But we're definitely running out of time. So we're just gonna put it together, and we'll keep an eye on it after we get it on the ground, see if it seats anymore, or maybe after we drive it a little bit, we'll check it, make sure it ain't seated more. It looks, according to the castle nut, it looks like it's where it's supposed to be. But man, that sure seems like there should be more in there than that. But what do I know? I've never lowered a full-size truck. So we're going to put it all back together. And we're going to do the other side. Ain't that right, Stellars? Because you want to go to the vet tomorrow in an AC truck, not the Ranger. Give me some sugars. Give me some sugars. Okay, that's enough. Let's get to it. By the way, I also took the tie rod end loose to try and get some movement out of this. So we're going to have to put that back on now too. But look what came. The green thing. My other Cyclops light came, and my step bit. Step bit probably would have helped us out yesterday. We was trying to enlarge that hole on the bracket, but I know it'll come in handy in the future. So let's get to this. I don't know what's the last thing that recorded, because I looked up and saw that my camera had turned itself off, and I was like, well, was I not recording, or was I recording? I don't remember. But we got the sway bar inlet back on. That was a pain in the butt because the nut didn't want to go on. I had to do some modified to threads, clean them up. Anyway, it's on there now. It's whatever. Last thing we gotta do, put the shock back in, and yeah, that's it. Just gotta put the shock back in, put the wheel back on it, put it on the ground. Then we're gonna do the other side, which I'll probably spare y'all that agony. Anyway, be back in a minute. You can kind of tell, but you really won't be able to notice the drop until the other side is done. But you can get an idea. I'm only putting 2 lug nuts on because I'm still not 100% sure about that tie rod, or not tie rod, ball joint. Still not entirely sure about that thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and I'm not gonna show y'all because y'all just saw it on this side, but if I run into anything weird, I'll turn the camera back on again. Well, I said I'd update you if I found anything weird. Typical Ford engineering right here. There's some kind of bracket for something over the top of the bolt for the shock, so you can't get a socket on it. So I'm gonna have to sit here for God knows how long with this wrench until I get this. You might regret buying a Ford. Well, it's been an hour, maybe 2, since you last saw my handsome face. Some things I've learned. My allergies have progressively gotten worse. I feel like someone punched me in the face. Just leaking snot all over. Did I tell you I cut myself? Yeah, I did tell you that. 2, the ball joint on the other side did not go in. Like I said, I was thinking it didn't go in all the way. It didn't, because when I put this one back together, it slid in like it couldn't wait. It slid right in there, no problem. So probably gonna have to take the passenger side apart and redo that one or something. Figure out how to, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking maybe if I take it for a ride down the road and back, it might seat, and then I can just tighten it. I don't know. What number are we on? 3? I need ball joints. That one over there wasn't terrible, but this one over here is hot garbage. Flopping around in there like a rotten tooth or something. But I don't know if you can change. I assume you can change the ball joints, but when it comes to that upper control arm, it's really just better to completely replace the whole control arm, because they're like 20 or 30 bucks and way easier just to unbolt the control arm, put a new one on, rather than having to go get a ball joint tool and press your ball joints out and all that mess. It's easier just to take the control arm off, spend 20, 30 bucks, put a new one on. Get one that has a grease cert, because these don't have grease certs on them. That'll be down the road. I may have put the springs on backward. I don't understand. When I was putting this one on, I feel like it said right front wheel RFW on it. So it probably goes on the other side. But at the same time, it's a spring. Like, why would it matter? I don't understand why it would matter. But we're about to put the wheel on it, let it down off the jack, and see what happens. Hopefully it's what it's supposed to be. So let's do that, okay? Because I cannot wait to end this video. Take a shower. I feel like poop. All right, here goes nothing. Well, that worked out. The lighting ain't too great in here. Let me try the other side. I dig it, and the front still has some spring travel to it, unlike the back. I think I'm gonna get some air shocks for the back. So my question for you guys, I'm kind of in the air about the running boards, the steps, whatever you want to call them, on the bottom of the door there. I feel like I should take them off, but I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Should I take them off? I'm probably going to take them off. I mean, now that it's lower, it doesn't really serve a purpose to have steps. But she's looking good. Now, if I can get that ball joint figured out, I'll be much happier with it. I can't really fully enjoy it knowing that ball joint is the way that it is. But anyway, I'm probably going to call it a day, and I'm going to do an outro for this video tomorrow, since I'm off tomorrow, and since this video ain't coming out for a few weeks. I'll do an outro tomorrow, and before I do the outro tomorrow, maybe I'll give y'all an update on the ball joint. Maybe I'll have it figured out tomorrow. Who knows? All I know is I feel like I got hit by a truck. So I'm going to go inside, take a shower, and just chill out. Finish editing the other part of the video. So I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Well, it's been a couple days since I finished up the video, and I've been trying to get a chance to record an outro, and I ain't got one till just now. So let me fill you in. I was worried about that ball joint not going in all the way, and once I got both wheels on the truck, and I crawled under there, and I looked at each one, and they looked the same. Like there wasn't one sticking out further than the other. They both looked exactly the same. So I'm guessing it did go in, and it just, for some reason, because it went in so difficult, I thought that it didn't go in. But yeah, the bushings, what are they called? You know what I'm talking about. Ball joints. Yeah, the ball joints are shot, so we're going to get some new control arms. She is still filthy, but I figured we got a 3-day weekend coming up. Probably by the time you see this, it'll already be over. But I got a 3-day weekend coming up for Memorial Day. So Monday, when I'm off work, I'm going to wash it. I'm going to take those running boards off because I've already tripped over them twice. And do the idler arm that I forgot to do in the last video, or in this video. But I've driven it to work now. Well, I drove it Monday to take Stella to the vet. Drove it to work the last 2 days, and it's been good. It actually rides better than the Ranger does. Like it don't have any spring travel in the back, but the front still has some spring travel. I'm going to get some air shocks, I think, put in the back. But the Ranger doesn't have any spring travel, like front or back. I guess just drive a sled down the road. But it is what it is, and it looks good. Wish I could find some wheels for it, but I've tried and tried, and it is not easy to find wheels for this bolt pattern. But it looks all right with them. It's going to look even better cleaned up, and I still got to get an alignment done. The camber ain't bad, but I still want to get an alignment done. Just to be on the safe side. How you doing, Stellars? You want to say goodbye to the people? Didn't think so. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this one. Long 2-part video. I did not want to do it in 2 parts, but that's just life sometime, you know? So I'm glad we finally got it done, and we can move on to less time-consuming projects. I already told y'all the stuff I got coming up for it. I want to do the center console. Let me show y'all this. This is what I'm talking about. This thing is like a Rubbermaid car trash can. And I was hoping it would go in here easier than it did, but I got a bungee strap on it, because if I don't, as soon as I take a corner, it's over there in the floorboard. So we're going to make a center console. I got some 3/4 inch plywood, and it's going to go from here where it touches the seat all the way up to underneath the dash there, and it's going to be about, you know, a foot wide or so. And I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to get cup holders and little cubby holes in it and stuff like that. So you got to figure that part out. So as always, you know, I like to close out in the Word. And today we're going to be looking at 1 Corinthians 3:19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So I was thinking, you know, a lot of people they'll try everything. You know, we all just want to have purpose in this world. We all want to know that there is a reason for us to exist, a purpose for our life. And we, try the pleasures, the fun, drugs, alcohol, sex, chasing after money, and trying to be famous. Nowadays, it seems more people are trying to be famous because of TikTok and YouTube. I mean, I'm speaking to you on YouTube right now. But everybody thinks they're going to be the next big content creator and be famous. And people chase after all kinds of things, thinking that this is going to fulfill that need they have for a purpose in their life. And God says the wisdom of this world is foolishness. All that stuff is like nothing inherently wrong with it, depending on, how you're approaching it. But if you're looking for all that stuff out in the world to fill that need that you have in you, it's foolishness. The wisdom of the world is foolishness. And the only thing that's going to fulfill you, the only thing that really gives you purpose is living for God and working for the Lord. Having something to do for the Lord. I used to do the podcast thinking, this is God's calling on my life. And I believe that it was. That's why when I quit doing the podcast and I was like, I want to go over here and start turning wrenches. But I got to bring some of what I was doing over here. Because there's people that'll be watching these videos that don't know the Lord. And if I can share a little bit with them, then I'll be fulfilling my purpose that God has for me. So if you're out there chasing all kinds of different things, trying to fill that void in your life, God is going to be the answer to that question, not the foolishness that is this world. Anyway, appreciate y'all hanging out with me for this 2-part video of me finally putting the lowering kit on this truck. We finally got it done. And it's a relief. And I'm glad we finally got it taken care of. You can find me on Instagram at Wretches and Wrenches. You can find me on Facebook at Wretches and Wrenches. And thank y'all for stopping by. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time. Remember, you might regret buying that Ford, but you'll never regret being forgiven. Y'all have a good one.